On behalf of the motion picture industry, welcome to the world of home video entertainment.
We've already gone over Axe. Let's go over Kidnapped Coed, also known as Date with a Kidnapper. This was the second film that Frederick Friedel made. I mean, I believe it was made in the same year, because he finished Axe, and there was a local guy, I believe, in Charlotte, North Carolina, where these films were shot, where he was financing it, and he was like, well, we'll do a 2-for-1. You know, we got a cast, we got a crew, and I think on Axe, the discovery was this Hollywood actor who had kind of dropped out and was kind of becoming a novelist, Jack Canon, who had done a lot of episodic television stuff. But they were able to cast him in Axe, and Jack Canon is an incredible actor, is an amazing actor, is really, he brings Axe up to another level. And I think Friedel was like, if a little bit of Jack is good, then a lot of Jack is great. And so he made Kidnapped Coed, and it co-stars Jack Canon as this kind of hood, this 2-bit hood, who comes up with the idea of kidnapping the young daughter of this rich guy and putting him up for a ransom. And when, you know, you can watch the Q&A, Frederick Friedel said he wanted to make a movie where the kidnapping was like the kindest and gentlest part of the film. Because basically what happens for the rest of the film is that Jack Canon and his kidnappee basically drive around rural North Carolina and basically come upon the weirdest, rural, strangest characters. They face one problem after another, and it becomes a real fight to survive in the backwoods of North Carolina. Yeah, I mean, the film was made after Axe, but it's, as far as on an artistic, creative level, it feels like a jump, 100-fold. It's an incredible film. It's a film I avoided watching for years because of that name, Kidnapped Coed, because it made it sound like a sex film. The fact that it was also released by Harry Novak. The movie's not a sex film. The movie is actually, it has less in common with a sex film and more in common with really Terrence Malick's Badlands. It really is, like an art film, Friedel was inspired by the art films and the foreign art films, and he really brings that sensibility into this film, which is, a beautiful thing where it's a beautiful character study where you see these two unlikely characters, a man and a woman, an older man who's kind of down on his luck, and then a young freckle-faced woman, and you see them change and grow throughout the film as they go through all this stuff, and you see their relationship kind of deepen in a way that feels very realistic. It's not just a Stockholm syndrome where the kidnappee falls in love with the kidnapper. It feels kind of real. It feels kind of genuine. And Jack Canon is such a wonderful actor that he's able to, he has a kind of charisma that as a viewer, he's not like a thug. He's not like like a David Hess where you just love to hate him. There's just, you kind of fall in love with this character, or you're just such a lovable oaf kind of a guy. And so that brings you into the movie, and the young actress who plays the kidnap, again, these actresses kind of disappeared from both Axe and Kidnapped Coed. They kind of, she's a great actress she seems that kind of stuck up, all, that kind of aesthetic of the late 70s, the wearing the gigantic, spectacles and things. But then as the movie goes on, she kind of loosens up, and begins to kind of do the thing. So a great little film, a great little character piece, just a great little film. That I think if you're into the sex movies, you're going to be really disappointed. Go see some other Harry Novak shit. If you're into really good films, really good, interesting films, Kidnapped Coed is actually a much, much better movie than Axe. I think even if you're not even interested in Axe, you might think Kidnapped Coed's even a better film. Personally, I think Kidnapped Coed's a better film than Axe. It was, again, he'd already had the experience of making one movie. Austin McKinney, excuse me, was brought back as a cinematographer. And the film, apparently they were shooting with better lenses. They were shooting later in the year, so there was a different kind of light. And the film looks like a low-budget drive-in Orson Welles. That's the way I can describe the aesthetic and the look of... there is this rape scene, which is not really... It has no... It doesn't really have any explicit nudity in it. It doesn't have any female nudity. And yet it is one of the most effective emotional scenes. Totally appropriate because it's a point where basically Jack Canon does something that kind of brings him and his kidnapper kind of together. It's a horrible, horrible scene, but it's not played for exploitation. It's very appropriate and even both of the films, they're not really exploitation films. They're a guy who's trying to make movies about characters and interesting ideas. And great, and it's a great scene. It's better than any scene in I Spit on Your Grave or Last House on the Left. That one scene is dynamite, incredible. That it goes from a kind of a comic element and then it gets real serious. Great film. So Kidnapped Coed, don't be turned off by the name or that's this bullshit exploitative poster art that Harry Novak came together. A really beautiful, wonderful, beautiful looking film. So to wrap up, I just want to say that the Severin Films 2-movie set of these two films is definitely worth it. It's a little more expensive at this point than other Severin DVDs and Blu-rays, other Blu-rays, but I would say it's absolutely worth the money because just the excavation of these really lost films. They have been released on DVD before. They have been Harry Novak had got his paws on them, and there's a lot of information on what Harry Novak did to the guys and what Frederick Friedel wanted to do to Harry Novak. But there are so many, the reason why you get these Blu-rays is because of the stories behind the films, in the making of, and especially these regional horror films, regional drive-in movies, they all have really sometimes have sad stories, involving stories of the characters who worked hard to make them, the young kids who worked on them, people who financed them and either made a lot of money or lost their shirts and whatever. And so this film is full of it. The deaths behind this movie, which there are some stories on this box, on this Blu-ray. There's some stories on the Q&A. There's a lot of tragedies and deaths and people being hurt. And I mean, even the composers, the two guys, Wilhelm and Shaw, who just got hit. There's a whole documentary on Greg Wilhelm and Greg Shaw and John Wilhelm on this Blu-ray. It goes into in depth. Commentary tracks on both films. Stephen Thrower, the guy who wrote Nightmare USA, does his own little Q&A, and he does. There's a third film, Blood Brothers, which was an attempt to edit both of these together because they both have Jack Canon in them, and he does a commentary on that as well. So, incredible, great Blu-ray, worth the money.